Pasha Paroh, YNet 7. Thank you for tuning. Today, we're going to be covering the mineral deficiency of the United States, China conflict. All right, let's take a look at it. Start off here. We're going to go to look at a congressional report. All right, this is about securing America's Critical Mineral Supply Act. You can pull this up on the site yourself. It's for entertainment purposes only. So, securing America's Critical Mineral Supply Act. Skip this little part here. The Committee on Energy and Commerce, to whom was referred the bill HR 1068 to amend the Department of Energy Organization Act to secure the supply of critical energy resources, including critical minerals and other materials. And for other purposes, having considered the same, reports favorably thereon with the amendment and recommends the bill as amended to pass. So they made some amendments, right? Which you can review here. If you want to pause the video and look this up yourself, it gives you like here, right? And it's being amended in these sections. Those that get this, get it. I don't gotta explain it to you. For those that are just learning, have a little patience while we liberate the remaining parties. Willing. So, Department of Energy Organization Act. Check these out. Here is this section. Some continuation, basically. And they're gonna be making these changes here. All right, but this is what I want to go over with you. And the plan is to go over this real quick, and then we're gonna tie into some other economic situations with China, because a lot of people, when they talk about the conflict will or won't happen, they bring up money, as they call it, but we know it's currency. We know there's no money in circulation, but they want to talk money. I think it's interesting that we take a look at this because, well, you'll see in a moment. Let's get to it. So it says HR 1068, Securing America's Critical Mineral Supply Act, was introduced by this guy and this guy on February 27th, 2023. All right. So it amends the Department of Energy Organization Act by here. Let me make this bigger for you. There. Maybe that'll help you out. So it amends, where were we at here? Amends the Department of Energy Organization Act by establishing that a purpose of the Department of Energy is to ensure there is an adequate and reliable supply of critical energy resources that are essential to the energy security of the quote unquote United States, and by including new functions of the department regulating or relating to securing critical energy resources supplies. To carry out these functions, which include identifying and mitigating effects of a critical energy resource supply disruption on the development and use of energy technologies and the operation of energy systems, right? HR 1068 requires the Secretary to conduct ongoing assessments of the nation's supply of critical energy resources, the vulnerability of the critical energy resource supply chain, and the criticality of the energy resources to the development of energy technologies. HR 1068 requires further that the Secretary facilitate development of strategies to strengthen critical energy resource supply chains by diversifying sources and increasing domestic production, refining, and processing of resources, and that the Secretary develop substitutes and alternatives and improve technology that results or reuses or recycles critical energy resources. Now, this is where it gets deep. All right. There's going to be a little bit of a foreground here, and then it's going to start talking numbers. And I really can't wait till you see these numbers. The United States maintains one of the most advanced complex energy systems. It goes on and gives some foreground. Let me skip here. Let me get you to the good part, because this is stuff you can read. It's just a little background. Tells you about this, tells you about that, right? All right. I'm skip down to here. So over time, the functions in the DOE's organic statute have remained largely unchanged, right? But the DOE's responsibilities and authorities has evolved substantially beyond what was envisioned 40 years ago. See, lots of things change in 30, 40 years, and you got to adjust. So as energy technologies and delivery systems have advanced, including with the growing use of advanced solar, wind, battery technologies, focused on the supply chains, critical word of these last few years, right? Of these technologies and the materials, the minerals and metals and other components making up or enabling the operations of these technologies has become more important. The need for updating the functions of DOE is necessary to provide a durable cabinet level focus on critical energy resource supplies and to serve the broader missions of the department to coordinate national energy policy that will help assure the reliable supply of energy for the public. Okay, we got one paragraph here, and then it gets to the numbers. So the urgency of the supply chains for advanced and renewable energy systems is underscored by the materials intensive nature of these systems. For example, as outlined in committee testimony during the 117th Congress, the materials extracted from the earth to fabricate everything, including wind turbines, solar panels, and batteries, to store grid electricity or power electric vehicles, are typically out of sight, located at remote quarries, mine sites, mineral processing facilities around the world. Those locations matter in terms of geopolitical and supply chain risk. Now let's get to some numbers here. Add the sheer scale of critical materials needed for these clean tech, quote unquote, right? Which is what everybody's pushing towards, and they want you to be and want you to use and want you to, consume clean tech energy technologies, and the importance of security supplies become clear. Projections on the mineral requirements for green energy all show massive increases in minerals and related processing. The mining of indium, if I pronounced that right, used in fabricating electricity generating solar semiconductors, for example, will need to increase 8,000%. Cobalt for batteries will need to grow 300 to 800%. Lithium production will need to increase 2,000%. See, y'all thought the conflict with China was about some paper fake fiat currency. But let me get to that in a moment. Of course, there's always additives and everything fits together in a puzzle. Some 14 metals essential for building clean tech machines will require increased supplies of elements such as nickel, dysprosium, I don't know, you try it, and delirium of 200% to 600%. So those are going to have to increase 200 to 600%. Now here's some kickers for you. As recently as 1990, the United States was the world's #1 producer of minerals. By 2018, the United States had fallen to 12th overall in global non-fuel minerals production. A 2022 DOE assessment of critical energy resource supply chain risk notes that China's control of key materials and renewable energy is across the board. With China in control of 80% of rare earths production and refining that are key components in technology such as direct drive generators and wind turbines, and China also controls 61% of global lithium refining, key for battery storage and electric vehicles. China also controls 100% of the processing of natural graphite used for battery anodes. So y'all was like, oh no, this ain't, we ain't got nothing to worry about over here. We America, in the United States, we the #1 country in the world. Keep buying Walmart shit, right? And Pasha was saying we need to support each other, get sustainable, right? Y'all trying to exploit each other for $1, right? You're looking at people as a resource, right? Trying to extract everything you can out of them, right? Okay, so here we go. The severity of this overdependence on other countries for critical minerals was brought to the public's attention by the report released during the Trump's administration. Don't worry about who it was, where it came from, worry about they told you, but you was more concerned with TikTok being banned, which found the United States relies on imports for 31 of the 35 critical minerals necessary for the U.S. defense and economy. For 14 of the listed critical minerals, the United States relies completely on imports from other countries, having no U.S. production at all. So we can skip this part, go here. Against this backdrop, while Congress has taken action to support research and development, incentives, and interagency planning, it's not enough. Given the extent of the current dependence on foreign supplies and increasing demand for minerals and materials, heavy energy resources, as former DOE deputy blah, blah, blah has testified before the committee, we need to designate an agency with clear authority to address these issues and to serve as the experts in the interagency process for energy. The committee finds that HR 1068 will further enhance DOE's existing responsibilities over ensuring secure and affordable delivery of energy by providing durable authority to assess the vulnerability and the critical energy resource supply chain and the criticality of energy resources, particularly minerals and materials necessary in the development of energy technologies and including the supply chains for renewable energy technologies. The committee finds the provisions of H.R. 1068 that facilitate the development of strategies to diversify sources of supply by increasing domestic production, separation, and processing of critical energy resources, and by pursuing or pursing, I think they meant, I don't know what they meant, but it's a pursing, the technological development of critical resource alternatives. Oh, pursing. Okay, so I guess I don't want to guess, but it looks like they talking about they might have to pay for some of this shit. So anyway, technological development of critical resource alternatives and of reuse and recycling is consistent with DOE's energy security mission and unique capabilities of the United States government. Now, here's the action they want to take. So on February 7th, 2023, the Subcommittee of Energy, Climate, and Grid Security and Environment, Manufacturing, and Critical Materials held a joint legislative hearing entitled Unleashing American Energy, Lowering Energy Costs, and Strengthening Supply Chains. I always find it interesting how they talk about themselves as the United States. I mean, I know for entertainment purposes, I see this as the difference they see, but they always speak of them as the United States, and then when they talk about what they're doing, it's always extracting American resources, right? Not United States resources, but American. You got to ask yourself why they specify a difference when they have these discussions. So here's the votes. Here's some stuff, right? And what I want to go over here. I want to go over the minority views, which is like the bullshit they're gonna call it. We talked about all this, we gonna do this, and then the bullshit over here was right. HR 1068, and I'm just specifying that this so you know it's not about probably the first thing that comes to some people's minds when it's hear the word minority. It's just about the lesser views of the discussion on the House floor, etc. Blah 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 blah. So, securing America's critical mineral resources amends the Department of Energy Organization Act to assert the Department of Energy's role in securing critical energy resource supply chains. It says the bill directs DOE to conduct ongoing assessments and facilitate the development of strategies to strengthen critical energy resource supply chains. While the majority claims HR 1060 targets and supports the development of critical minerals, including those needed for the development of clean and renewable energy resources, HR 1068 uses the term critical energy resource instead of critical minerals or critical materials. The bill defines critical energy resources to mean any energy resource that is essential to the energy sector and energy systems of the United States. This definition is not restricted to critical minerals and could be interpreted to include a range of resources, including those that are carbon emitting or that support the fossil fuel industry. So, in translation, the ambiguity of the language, which, many people say it doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. But what they're saying here in the minority review is that basically they can pass this through under the green clean scheme, and it be a smoking gun for any action they want to take that needs to also secure oil base. And I'm not saying that to be pro or anti-oil or pro clean renew or green energy or anti-green energy. What I'm saying to you is this bill is a heat-seeking missile, or I ain't gonna call it a bill. This resolution for entertainment purposes is like a heat-seeking missile to go and have a reason to justify anything you want to do to go get any mineral anywhere in the world, any resource, because you can always say, hey, you gotta produce electricity for the cars, right? So some of you know that the issue they're having with that is the charging grid for a lot of these electric vehicles is locally being powered by petroleum-based resources. So you're pumping electricity, but you're creating electricity through burning of fossil fuels, right? So now they can basically say, hey, well, for us to produce that electricity, we gotta go get all the oil. For us to make sure that we can produce batteries, we gotta invade China. I mean, I'm not saying that's what they're gonna say. I'm just saying it has the potential through the ambiguity to be part of the language used in justification. Y'all were thinking, at best, some of y'all were thinking the BRIC situation, right? Oh, it's about the currency, Russia, China, Britain, South Africa, they're gonna get this new currency. Okay. London controls the currencies of the world, right? City of London, or the city inside of London that's not London, but also called London. I mean, look it up. So if they were just worried about currency, they would manipulate that. No issue. What's the real reason? You got to have a whole fleet, a whole naval fleet in the South China Sea right now. What they preparing for? Why? Very timely discussion here. So let's take a look at this real quick, and then I'll get y'all up out of here. I just want to scroll through this. This is from 2021, Office of Technology Evaluation. Right at the door, it says, in 2021, U.S. exports to China were $151 billion, a 21.4% increase from 2020. U.S. imports from China were $506 billion, which was a 16.5% increase. And a trade deficit with China was $355.3 billion, which was a 14.5% increase from 2020. So China was the United States' third largest trade partner in 2021. In 2021, 8.6% of the total U.S. exports of $1.8 trillion to the world were exported to China. And 17.9% of the U.S. imports of $2.8 trillion were imported from China. Now, before we go any further, I want you to think about something. Think about as if you were running your own business. Okay. What would the hit feel like? Or your household, rather. Okay. If tomorrow you lost 8.6% of your total sales as a company, as a business, and that part, we won't factor into the household. But if you have a company or a business and you lost, rounded off to 10% of your sales, period, tomorrow, what kind of impact would that have on you? Today's Monday. So if you lost 10% of your total sales, period, on Tuesday, what kind of impact would you start to feel by Friday? Right? And I mean, when I say you lost it, like you're not getting it back, lost it. Like there's no go recoup other market share. I mean, it's gone, right? Now, they said exports $1.8 trillion were exported to China. 17.9% of the total U.S. imports were imported from China. Now think about your business and your product that you have for sale, and all of a sudden tomorrow you couldn't get 20% of all of your inventory. What effect is that going to have on your business, on your customers' business, who count on you to get supplies and resources? If you were look at your household and you lost 20% of your income tomorrow, there will probably be some changes very quickly. So when you think about, it's just tell you, we're America, we're the greatest nation in the world, we got the biggest military. One, you better check those numbers, because especially if these groups start to combine, I'm not saying they got better equipment, I'm just saying they might have more, right? The thing is this, I ain't gonna say how I want to say it. Chances are you're not gonna be able to fight a war with somebody, another country, another nation, another neighborhood, and still interact in trade and commerce with them. So if you go to war with the country to protect Taiwan, or for whatever reason to protect the failing, crumbling U.S. fiat currency dollar for entertainment purposes, or even to go after minerals, you're going to put not only all of the mineral content they own at risk, right? But 10% of your exports and 20% of all your imports into your own economy. So what that means is, I've been trying to enlighten people in advance to comprehend what kind of different place this would be if the dollar were to fall because of this. Minerals that are needed for everything are inaccessible for import. On top of that, 20% of the whole economy's import into this United States jurisdiction, quote unquote, would no longer be shipped, and 10% of the outgoing products sold would no longer be needed to be delivered tomorrow. What would that do to your community? Right? That's the bigger question here, people. Not just you watching bombs in Ukraine go off on TV. It's, are you prepared not to go out and beat your neighbor over the head for a loaf of bread, but are you prepared as a community to unite to survive in a world that you've never seen before? That's the question I have for you tonight. See, we don't have these thoughts. Everything is, you got all the time in the world. You can make poor choices. You know what I mean? You can go out and you don't mind shooting your neighbor over a pair of sneakers that cost $16 to make. But when you face with really having to make a choice of, are you going to survive as a nation? Are you going to survive as a people? Does it fucking really matter what you frowned up about right now when you see dude come through, or that chick walk by, or whatever got that hate brewing in your heart? Does it really matter? Let's continue. I want to give you some of these numbers here and then we'll close out. Mechanical appliances, sound recorders, and TV sets were the most traded commodity sector in the last 5 years. U.S. exports of those commodities show an upward trend of $25 billion in 2017 to $36.1 billion in 2021. The percentage of imports of those commodities from China out of total imports from the world were an impressive 37%. 37% of all your mechanical appliances, sound recorders, and TV sets you're not going to have access to. Potentially, if things go left any given Sunday. In 2021, U.S. exports of agricultural products to China. Oh, let me go back. That also means that $25 billion worth of stuff that's produced here will stay here because it won't have a buyer. So who do you know work for a mechanical appliance, a sound recorder, a TV producer company, or any of its supply chain? See the domino effect? In 2021, U.S. exports of agricultural products to China continue to show an upward trend. Basically, what they're saying is you got starving people in the United States jurisdiction, but they're authorizing sending agricultural products to China for some fake ass paper that you call money, while your neighbors starve. And then, not you, because you're white and 7, but there's people that'll walk by someone hungry and frown at them, turn their face up like they better than them. Right? But U.S. exports of agricultural products to China continue to show upward trend. In 2021, U.S. exports of agricultural products were $31.6 billion, an increase of 27.5% from 2020. In 2021, China remained the major source of U.S. imports of textile products. Oh, you think you got a nice suit? You think you're going to be able to get that suit made potentially 4 years from now? 2 years from now? In 2021, U.S. imports of $50.3 billion of textile products from China constituted 32.6% of the total U.S. imports of textile products. Kind of want to start having someone in your family Learn how to weave some thread, right? You wondering why they talking about Great Depression. You afraid of a recession. What do you think the difference is here we talking about? What y'all worried? What y'all arguing about? Whatever that last argument you had with whoever you had it with, I guarantee it's fucking bullshit compared to this. I guarantee it doesn't affect your whole family life like this. But you would rather put energy into social distancing, ignoring each other, laughing at someone trying to come up with something new, innovation. That's why there's no products being made in America right now. You got tricked out of your shit. And they too busy hating on the people talking about we need to do something different. Because that's not the popular conversation. The popular conversation is $99 laptop at Walmart from China. We need you to stop talking about help your neighbor get the education to go become an engineer and help the other guy around the corner start making a mine, extracting minerals. You know, these are conversations you don't hear in our communities. You know, I talk about this on Alignable. You know, these are the things that get the least responsive engagements. Nobody talks about this. Well, okay, you don't have to. Just remember, you ain't want to talk about this. Just remember, people like me was weird. Because we had time, we still got a little time to do something different about it. Additionally, in 2021, China remained the major source of U.S. imports for furniture, bedding, lamps, toys, games, sports equipment, paint, and other miscellaneous manufactured items. Oh, you thought you was gonna have fun? No, they importing all the fun from China. In 2021, the U.S. imports of $68.5 billion of miscellaneous manufactured items from China constituted of 53.2% of total U.S. imports of those commodities. So basically, you have no fun unless China says so. Why? Because you like the sound of a U.S. citizen. And you hate to hear what it feels like to represent wanting to be American. Because see, they had this word in America called independence, which meant that you weren't dependent on 53.2% of all your fun from China. See, that's what America was about. That's what America is about. In 2021, the U.S. exports to China shipped under BIS license exception authorizations total. Let's not even worry about that. Let's skip that. You get the idea. Here's some graphs for you, right? Show you imports, exports, deficits. You can pause the video later, look at this chart, or you can just go to the website. Here's some more of the detail. I'm just going to scroll through. Like I said, pause the video if you want to look at this more in depth. All right, you get the idea. I gave you some numbers. Mineral deficiency of the United States. For those that didn't believe there would be some sort of conflict, there's going to be some sort of conflict. And it's only going to be measured in how much external and how much internal. Worst case scenario, you're going to be dealing with inflation continuation, which is another conflict. So what I'm asking you for the last several years is, how are you positioning for a sustainable community? Pasha Paroh, Y97. Thank you for tuning.